Welcome back to another video from Upstart Epoxy, your number one source for high quality epoxy that you can trust. In this episode, we're going to be going over our top 3 favorite projects, so stick around and let's go. So we wanted to showcase 3 of our favorite projects that we've used and encompass all of the products here at Upstart Epoxy that we've utilized and just to show you how good each of these products can be. Number 1, this crisp and clean contemporary looking table was constructed using cedar wood and all black epoxy. We wanted to give it a crisp and clean and contemporary look. We wanted it to shine, we wanted the wood to be flawless, and we most of all really wanted to give it that modern pop feel and modern pop effect. We used our deep pour epoxy here, and we used our mica pigments black to really give off that contemporary feel and that contemporary vibe. We got everything all poured up, and this project was really awesome and really fun to work with because it was a long process. This was a lot of epoxy that we poured. I think we poured up to like 8 gallons of epoxy in this, and that's just the deep pour. We used 2 more gallons of tabletop epoxy to give it the flood coat when it was all said and done. But like I said, projects like these, you guys, when you're working with them, it takes a lot of effort and a lot of time. But in the end, you want a masterpiece. You want something that you can utilize and have fun doing it at the same time. And that's why here at Upstart Epoxy, we're here to provide those materials for you. We want you to be proud makers of all your work. We want your customers and your clients to be satisfied with what you make them. And a lot of that starts with us. We can help you with that. We have all the products you need, all the materials you need, whether it's epoxy, whether it's color packs, whether it's tips and tricks. We like to provide that for all of you so that you too can make awesome and beautiful pieces, not only for yourselves, but for people who know that you're good at what you do and want to display it in their homes. That's the most important part. Just a quick little reminder, whenever you're working on a piece like this is a bigger piece. It's bigger than a charcuterie board. It's bigger than something small that you might work with art resin. These pieces take a lot of time and they take a lot of attention to small details. You know, it could be your sanding, it could be your pour, it could be room temperature, it could be a number of things. It's just always best to take your time, folks. Don't rush through this process, whether it's a big project like this or even a small project. Don't rush through it. Take your time and make sure that you yield the best results out there possible, the best results that you can come up with. And with that said, I'll let you enjoy the rest of this little snippet and we'll get ready for our number 2 favorite project. Number 2, our Fireplace mantle. Now this piece was so much fun to do. We started off with some poplar wood on this, and we got 3 different mica pigments from Upstart Epoxy. We mixed them all up together, and this was going to be a triple color pour because the customer had requested that it kind of tie in with their existing tiles on the hearth of the fireplace. We got these colors all poured up. We let them mix and meld as they were gonna. And the cool thing about this project was that we went ahead and gave it an extra layer of effect with like a cloudy, swirly layer. So what we did is we poured all this deep pour epoxy here. We let this cure up and settle. And then what we did is we went ahead and poured a layer of clear coat over it. And as that clear coat was curing up, we had it at, I believe, like the consistency of peanut butter. Like I like to tell everybody, that's the best time to really swirl and to really, really get your motion and your movements in the epoxy in, because it's right on the verge there of curing. So that's how you want it to stay. If you try it too early, all your swirls and all your work it'll lose it all. So it's always best to swirl when it's the thickness and consistency of, I like to say, peanut butter. So here's our first clear coat that we poured in here. And like I said, we let that cure up a little bit. And then what we did is we put a little bit of white pearl and we swirled that in when it was almost cured. We mixed it up here, see? And then we swirled it in just barely, little pieces of like little cloudy swirls. And it gave off a really super cool effect. Like as you can see here, just kind of like a swirly, cloudy little wave. Then we hit it with another clear coat of deep pour and we let that all cure up. We didn't mess with that at all because that was going to be our final clarity layer, our depth effect layer. And the results for this one were just outstanding. This was probably one of my favorites, if not our favorites all. We went ahead and we assembled the back end for the mantle so that the customer could mount it to their wall. But like I said, this piece was just really, really exceptional to work with and just so much fun. And again, it all comes back to detail, folks. There's a lot of detail when you work with bigger projects like this. I mean, there's a lot of detail when you make charcuterie boards too. You got to pay attention to them all. But when you work with something bigger like this, there's going to be a few more variables that you have to take into consideration. Like here, we're water popping the grain just to make sure that we get the best out of that grain when we're ready to flood coat this product. We went ahead and hit it with some water and covered it up and got that grain flowing and popping up like we wanted it. Then we got it prepped and ready for its flood coat, which we used the 1-to-1 ratio tabletop or countertop epoxy from Upstart Epoxy. We mixed it all up, and yeah, this reveal was just a banger. It dried good. And what we did with this particular one, I didn't show it in the video, but we used a product called FX Flame Retardant. Because this was going to be under or above a fireplace, we wanted to make sure that there was virtually no effect or no repercussions, because fire or heat in a high temperature is epoxy's enemy with anything you make. So you want to have some kind of barrier there to prevent it from burning up or to prevent it from ruining the epoxy, especially the underside. So we mixed in a chemical that's it's from FX Flame Retardant, and that'll help so that the underside or any portion of this mantelpiece will not get ruined in any way. And here's the results, folks. Look how beautiful this turned out. This is something that y'all can do too. It's just a little bit of creativity. Like I say, I can't stress enough the attention to detail and the commitment to finish what you start. There's a lot of steps involved with making stuff like this. But when you're using Upstart Epoxy's products and you have a little bit of time and a little bit of patience, you can do it too. Number 3, good old art resin. I really enjoy working with big pieces. I like doing big tables. I like doing big boards. I like doing big stuff. But you know what really calms my nerves and soothes my energy is art resin projects, because they're small, they're simple. But you know what? It's funny is that sometimes they're more satisfying than the big projects. So it's simple to use. Art resin is just so fun and it's so versatile. You can use it on small forms like little silicone molds. You can create ashtrays. You can create all kinds of stuff, pretty much anything you want in terms of that. But with these ones, like for this episode, I'm going to talk about how we created a couple of like sport team backdrop boards that we did for a couple of gifts. So we knew that the favorite teams of the people we were going to be giving the gifts to, and we thought, well, hey, let's create something kind of cool. I mean, epoxy and mica pigments themselves are something beautiful to look at. So we thought, well, you know what? Let's just take a simple idea. Let's create the colors of these teams. Let's get a decal that once everything is cured on the board, we can stick to there, seal it in with a layer of Upstart Epoxy's tabletop epoxy, and really make a cool gift. And that's the fun thing about art resin, folks, is that if you want to make small, quaint gifts like for Christmas or birthdays or whatever, art resin is what you want to use. You can do simple ideas and gifts just like this one. You know, we got 2 different colors, like I said. We put a decal, we let it cure, we poured tabletop over it, sealed it in, it was in there forever, and that was it. It was simple. We just got 2 pieces of MDF, sanded them up, poured the epoxy on them, poured the final layer of tabletop epoxy, and look how cool these turned out. It's just as easy as 1, 2, 3, folks. It's all about your idea and it's all about how you want to create. This has been Steve with Upstart Epoxy, and we'll see you next time.